Good morning and welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Joe Jaquint, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and welcome to Tuesday. Welcome back, Phoenix. Yeah, welcome back. Welcome back, Cotter. I used to love that show. Welcome back to Phoenix as we're getting ready now to move past the holiday season and get that schedule back to normal. I hope it finds you well. Just to let everybody know, we're really where we were at going back to like Thursday of last week. Gold rallied on Friday when we were closed. Took the rally away yesterday. Now it's rallied back. Right now, gold's $1,815. So almost a few dollars higher than where it was on Thursday. Silver up about 25 cents, back above $23, $23.5, $23.10 on silver. The Dow, we have new highs. Yes, Santa Claus rally. New highs on the S&P, and everybody's happy. And, of course, the reason they're happy is no one actually believes the Federal Reserve's actually going to do anything more than pretend to fight inflation, which is, we had Byron Weems. I don't know if you guys know Byron Weems. He's a regular on the Idiot Box on CNBC and Fox, the cheerleading station. But he's a billionaire. He's a billionaire, and they always follow his predictions. He's a pretty important guy, I guess, in the financial industry. That's part of the reason he's calling for new all-time highs in gold. He's a big Bitcoin guy, but said Bitcoin's kind of losing the shine here, and people are going to come back to the gold markets. We'll see. But it was a call. It was surprising because he's not really a gold guy, but he's definitely someone that understands the markets. And Jason, I gotta believe if anybody knows, because it's not like the Fed meets in secret anymore, right? They're always having their little huddles, and they're calling their banker buddies. They're calling their billionaire investment buddies. So if anybody knows what the Fed's really going to do, it's probably him.
Yeah, but you can't really trust what they're saying either, though.
Who knows? Right? Well, listen, you know how it is. This is how they always do it, right? I'll just say, J.P. Morgan. They'll tell half of their guys, okay, you go out and you be the super bullish guys. And then the other half, hey, you go out and you be the negative guys. And that way, hey, 50% of us are going to be right.
Yep. Yeah.
And that way they've got it all covered. Well, hey, it was a great year. Well, see, look at these guys. Our analysts were great. Oh, it was a bad year. Oh, look at them. We told you it was going to be a bad year. They're always covering both sides of their ass. But speaking of both sides, just a quick announcement here for you Phoenix folks. I got this from one of our Arizona purebloods out there. The Reawaken America Tour is coming to Phoenix. It will be in Phoenix January 14th and 15th. 14th and 15th at Dream City Church in Cave Creek. And, 13613 North Cave Creek. I don't know if it's actually technically Cave Creek. That could still be Phoenix. And both days, 10 a.m. To 5 p.m. So you Arizona purebloods, the Reawaken America Tour coming to Phoenix. I think they have a capacity of like 3,500 people. So if you want to just Google Reawaken America Tour, you'll find all the information out there. But I wanted to get that out there to you so you know what's happening here in the Valley of the Sun. Metals plans are on the way. You guys don't need to call us. You can if you want to. But Brittany's on top of it, and she'll email you with your tracking numbers and all that stuff. I know that she was working, Jason, on your metals plan invoices, so you'll be able to get your people that are picking up in Colorado to come in and get those done. But she's on track. And just check those emails. Check those emails, and she'll let you know when your product's being shipped, she'll give you your FedEx tracking number. And for those of you that don't have email, believe it or not, yes, we have a lot of customers that, hey, for very good reasons, I'm not on the computer, we'll call you with that information as well. Or obviously, you can always call us. But she is past the halfway point. This thing is huge. It's a huge undertaking. So believe me, she'll have all that stuff out to you. We should be wrapping this thing up by the end of the week. And just so you know, I'm off for the next 3 days. We're going to some very much needed family time for my wife and my boys and I. We're going to take a few days off. Jason's got a lot of great stuff for you guys over the next 3 days. I won't ruin it for you, but I will tell you this. This will be radio you're not going to want to miss because he's always entertaining. Jason has a really good grasp on the people behind the scenes. So I'm looking forward to what Jason's going to bring to you while I'm off. When we get back, we know we're going digital. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. The next crash is coming. China made a huge announcement today, and I think this is going to be something very similar to what we're going to see here in the U.S. We're going to tell you about it next. Patriot Radio News Hour. Don't touch the dial. We'll be right back. 800-951-0592. It's just so funny, Brittany. I don't have my phone today. It's weird. You know what? Hey, that just tells you, not everybody is married to their cell phones, but that may be a thing of the past. So this morning, China's central bank has made a major announcement. We know China had been in, we'll call it testing mode on its digital currency, where they selected, and I'm not sure of the exact number, 10,000 people, maybe it was 100,000 in China, maybe it was 1 million, something like that, to use their electronic currency, but it was only certain people had it. Today they've added to it now. They're calling it a China Central Bank, a wallet app, which really just, it's an app. So think about, for a lot of people, the most common app, that Google Maps, something like that. It's just an app that's on your phone for the digital yuan, and they're making it available both in the Android and Apple stores. So again, this is probably how things are going to happen in the future. If you ever talk with Bucky Dillon, Liberty Revolt, him and Kevin LaRusso do the morning show at 1360. His wife's from China. He spent quite a bit of time in China, and he'll tell you the Chinese don't go anywhere without their cell phones. Matter of fact, his in-laws were at his house. And this is going back about 6 months ago. They were actually showing him features on his phone that he didn't even know about. And Dylan's a pretty tech-savvy guy out there, just to give you an idea. Again, this is what the future is holding. What they're saying in this is they're releasing this in 10 major cities, including Shanghai and Beijing. So now this is starting to become pretty universal now, where China's like, hey, listen, this is Shanghai, this is how you're operating. Beijing, this is how you're going to be operating. Previously, like I said, it was only available to selected people. They're now turning it on here, starting with a bunch of these major cities, Jason. But this is directly under the control of the Chinese central bank, which is something that we speculate is going to happen here. The next crisis, the banks are going to hemorrhage again, and then we're probably going to see this new digital currency that is controlled by our central bank, and essentially your bank account, as you know it, will now be in the hands of the Fed.
That's right, Joe. Venezuela's doing digital currencies. Mexico announced in 2024 they're moving towards a digital currency. That's out there. You can just look it up. India is also has a similar idea about 2024. So it's all coming. It's coming pretty soon, Joe.
Yeah, it's coming a lot faster than people think. And again, this is going to change a lot of things. And again, they're going to use convenience. They're going to use the ability, and they've already said, now think about COVID. One of the big things that you heard now, you haven't heard them say it lately, but the ability to put money in people's accounts and how much more convenient it's going to be. And again, when the next crisis comes, this is going to be a major selling point. Oh, listen, hey, as soon as we go to this digital currency, we're going to put $1,000, or we're going to put $1,200, or we're going to put $2,000, or we're going to put $5,000 in everybody's account. This is what they're going to do. I believe this wholeheartedly. This is what they're going to do to get everyone to download the app, sign up, do what they've got to do so they can immediately, Jason, get electronic credits put into their accounts.
Exactly, Joe. And to think of how dangerous it's already. The money system we are involved in now is already bad enough. Now, you may imagine what you're talking about, and then in these other countries that are going to have basically a digital Bitcoin, government-backed currency that could slosh upwards and downwards on the whims of a few rich people, depending on who's putting it in there and who's taking it out, Joe. It's like the stock market for your currency.
Yeah, and it's going to be. I mean, it's really going to be interesting. But I'm convinced that this is probably how they're going to do it, which is a bribe, right?
Yep.
When China initially tested it out, that's what they did. Hey, these people that said, "Hey, I'll do it," they got like I don't know what it was, like 1,000 renminbi or something like that. Now China doesn't even have to bribe anybody. Hey, this is just how it's going to be. But here in the U.S., here's the precedent that you need to worry about. And I've said this over and over and over again. I love the premise of Bitcoin, which is, hey, we're going to have a system that isn't dependent upon central banks, right? They don't control it. Of course, unfortunately, any of you that believe that fantasy, well, there's nothing I can say to convince you if you don't already know it by now. Bitcoin being regulated, every country seemingly going in China's direction ends up banning it. Which I think will continue to happen as well. I don't think Bitcoin will go away. I think they'll just change what it does and figure out a way for people to do it. The banks aren't going to give up the power. I guess that's the biggest thing. But really,
Joe, the IRS already deemed Bitcoin to be an asset in 2014, basically saying it's a stock. It's just a company that there's no company behind it. There's no actual commodity or produced item. It's just a place to store money, and you hope that other people put their money there, and it grows your value. That's all it is.
One of the things I always felt interesting, really, when you listen to the billionaires like, Mark Cuban and Elon Musk, and they're all smart, Byron Weems, right? They're all really rich guys, and talking about investing in Bitcoin, and it always interesting to me. Wait a minute, there's no company there. Allegedly, and I say that not facetiously, allegedly, we don't even know who created it. And yet you're going to put billions of dollars into it. Something it doesn't pass the sniff test, right? That's like, it just reminds me of the Nigerian scam of, right? A long-lost relative of yours has died, right? And we're going to give you millions of dollars, but give us all of your banking information from someone you've never met or know or ever heard of before. It kind of defies logic, but that just, gets my hairs on my neck to stand up a little bit. This is nothing more, very much like COVID.
Exactly. I was going to go there, Joe. Exactly.
Very much like COVID. COVID, they're using fear to control. But this is just nothing more than trying to give credibility to the digital, because that's where they're going to go. There's a couple of things you need to know. Number one, tracking. Really, ultimately, what's the big win? And the big win is tracking. We can track everything you do. And it's just like the cell phone, right? The cell phone, they already track us everywhere. Google knows exactly where you are at all times, right? And I know, I turned that off. Yeah, they still know. Okay? They still know. They know where you are at all times. And the FISA warrants, right? They've never been, no one's ever declined them. If they want the information, they're going to get it, right? And that's the big thing. One of the things I don't like about it is the trackability. But here's the other part, the part that's worse than all of that. It's going to be a crisis for this to come in. Your assets, your wealth, your money, all the things that you've worked so hard for, your labor is going to be horribly devalued before you end up with this new digital system. And that's why we encourage you to have your gold in place before that happens. We'll use the example, $10,000. Well, when we go to this digital currency, that 10 grand that was in the bank or that 10 grand that was in the stock market, you may end up with $1,000.
Or Joe, you'll have the digits.
But if you have it in gold, hey, that 10 grand, when you need to turn that into digital, hey, the premise is you're going to get $10,000 of digital. That's really the premise behind it, Jason.
Yeah. The digits may still say 10,000, but it may only buy $1,000 worth of actual things. Something I wanted to add on about Bitcoin is the rich guys that buy it have more faith in humanity, and the rich guys that don't like it don't have faith in humanity. I'm one of the guys. It's not that I don't have faith in humanity, but the idea is, Joe, as well, just like you said, COVID, when they said put a mask on, everybody put a mask on without even questioning it. That's why most of these rich big company guys will never put their money in Bitcoin, because they don't believe that the humanity has enough oomph to stand up to the bankers and actually put their stuff in there and hold firm. That's why, that when you said to hold gold is having faith in yourself. That's why I've always gravitated to gold. You got it. The one thing I can control is myself. I can't control what everybody else is going to keep their money in some digital currency, Joe.
What's so funny is Byron Weems did not say it nearly as precise and eloquent as you just did, but he referenced, hey, Bitcoin's going to lose some shine here. The billionaires are going to go back into the gold markets again. And my guess is, to your point, Jason, the exact reason is what you just stated, which is, hey, listen, we have no faith that we're going to be able to stand up to the bankers. I don't think we will. I would love it if we did. And I've said this all along. Let's let everything compete, right? Yeah. Let gold compete. Let silver compete. Let Bitcoin compete. Let the dollar compete. Heck, if you want to have your money in renminbi, why not?
Yeah, Rockefeller doesn't want competition. They're not going to allow that. And they own the medical industry, and they own part of the financial industry. Competition is a sin. John D. Rockefeller said it over and over again. As he lost his monopoly on Standard Oil, but then the 3 or 4 parts he was allowed to keep were worth more than the entire company before he was broken up. They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, amen to that. And so just to let you know here, China obviously gearing up for the Winter Olympics, and I'm sure they're going to be touting how much farther ahead they are than the United States. And again, I think China's going to have a big part in all of this. Jason and I, we debated it the other day. Are they going to be the new country that gets to have that role as the reserve currency? They have the qualifications, right? Trade, and it's funny how trade tends to tends to do that. You notice China, whether or not we think they have the military prowess of the United States, right? I think a lot of us, when push comes to shove, don't think that they do. But you'll notice, right? No one's producing more battleships, more aircraft carriers, right? They're coming in and building things in the South China Sea, the cracking down on Hong Kong, cracking down on Taiwan, and let's not kid ourselves. Military is a big part of it, and we see them working on that side of it. Obviously, we know they've got it economically, right? They've got the biggest trade surpluses in the world. They've got the largest economy in the world in terms of stuff. It's the second largest economy in dollar terms, and everyone debates. We just don't know what year. What year is it? Even in dollar terms, China passes us. It's going to be sometime before 2030, so it's not that far down the road. The question remains to be seen. I think the bankers are going to use this opportunity to put themselves on top. We'll be back. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. I think the timeline's been moved up. China's announcement today that 10 of their biggest cities, both Beijing and Shanghai, are now going to the digital currency, the digital app. And I think this is how it's going to play out here. I think with the next crisis, I don't know the exact number of how many banks will be left. As you know, I mean, think about where we've been on the banks. You know, when they got the central bank and at the height of the Great Depression, and really this was just a power play. And I won't. Maybe Jason will re-educate you. Go get the creature from Jekyll Island. You can educate yourself. This was a power play by all the four major banking families to get rid of a lot of banks, especially as people moved west, and getting control back. Go back to the Reagan era. There was 18,000 banks in this country. 18,000 banks, 100 million less people. So you would think, well, with that many more people, man, we'll probably end up with a lot more banks. But again, they changed. You know, if you go back to some of the rules that they put into the Great Depression of not allowing banks to be any bigger than a regional bank, and probably really the reason why everything was regional, because you didn't. And now Jason and I were talking last week. Housing's now global. Right, because the banks are global, much more risky. But we don't even have 5,000 banks, and I think that when we're said and done with this, after let's call it the Great Reset, because that's what a lot of people have said in the past. Do we have 100 banks left? 50? I mean, really, ultimately, at the end of the day, we don't really need that many. And quite honestly, if you think about it, take the top 10 banks in this country, that's 90% of all the deposits. So really, you could maybe even make an argument, Jason, we only need 10 banks.
Yeah, brick and mortar banks, they're going to have to adjust. I think that you're going to have some of these because there's still loans. You have to buy property and business loans. That stuff's going to exist, but I think the banks that survive, Joe, that are not the biggest ones are going to be the ones that can do the banking on someone's phone. Because, for example, El Salvador just made Bitcoin their official currency of their country. Those people aren't going to go to a brick and mortar bank to get a loan on a house or to start a business loan. They're going to start it on that phone. And so the smaller banks that do happen to eke out a living past this thing are going to be the ones that can go with the technology of digital money, Joe. That's where it's headed. So, yeah.
And just remember, the reset is the hard part. That's where your money's going to take my guess is whatever you got, take a zero off of it. That sounds about right to me. We're talking $40 trillion worth of debt. Inflation still the name of the game. How about this announcement today? Seems like every day now I'll give you a list of something else that's going to cost more. Life insurance. We talked about this yesterday. Life insurance, long-term care insurance, all of those things getting ready to cost a lot more. Be ready for that. Little Caesars today. Now I'll admit, I don't really buy my pizza from Little Caesars, but they have for 25 years sold a $5 pizza, Jason. I don't know if you knew that.
I worked for them. I remember when they were first doing that in the 1990s, when they were first releasing that. I had these two young people that bought the local Little Caesars that I was working at, and they brought in the $5 drive-up pizza, and they had in the parking lot. They had the little hot box, and they were cranking out. Man, it was busy. It was, I forget what day of the week it was, a Tuesday or something. And then they started doing that $5 pizza, pepperoni or cheese, and the people just drive up and they throw them in the car, and there was a little loss.
And away they go, right?
Yeah, man, it was craziness when and it's been that way for a long time. I don't know what they did over the last decade or two to cheapen them. Maybe they make them smaller.
Well, here's the thing. Think about this. It's been $5 for almost 25 years.
Yep.
Until today. Little Caesars announced they're raising the $5 pizza to $5.55, an increase of 11%. It is the first price increase since they came up with that concept. And it just tells you, listen, these are unheard of increases. You don't hear about food going up 11%. I mean, remember last week we talked about some items are going to be up 20%. These things are huge. And here's the problem. Why do I have the feeling that this time next year, Little Caesars is going to raise the price again? Remember Subway, the $5 footlong, right? That's long gone. And I think this is just another example of something where Little Caesars just said, "Hey, there's nothing we can't make it any less expensive than what we've already done." And it may not sound like a lot, but that's incredible when you really think about, hey, how much more money do I need? We've been talking about wage inflation. The jobs data today, the amount of people quitting keeps breaking records. And here's what they're all saying. Why did you quit? I found a job for more money. And all that means is everybody out there, from the bottom up, you want somebody to go get the carts in the parking lot. You want someone to put the bags in the groceries. You want someone to ask, would you like fries with that, right? If you want somebody to actually take your money at the drive-through window, you're going to have to pay significantly more for that job, which means, hey, the job that's a little better than that job's got to pay significantly more. And it's this domino effect, Jason.
Right. And there was inflation before 2021. You know, it existed. It was here every year. It's just that these products that we're talking about, they could change the size of it, the amount that's in the package. There was ways to maneuver slowly with a slower moving inflation. But this inflation so fast, there is nothing they can do but raise the prices. That's why the dollar store is no longer the dollar store, Joe.
Yeah, even look at the dollar store. What did they say, $1.25?
Yeah, the $1.25 store.
The $1.25 store. I mean, these are the things, and again, what we're going to see in inflation in 2022 and beyond. I wish that the Fed could just hike rates a few times and somehow the genie got put back in the bottle. That's pure fantasy. Patriot Radio News Hour. We're going to be right back after the break. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour, and I can't believe it may happen again. Remember the freeze in Texas last year? U.S. natural gas futures rising again. This was late yesterday into today, by the way, as new data showing a plunge in pipeline gas flows in Texas, which indicates the state's power grid could be susceptible to another failure amid a cold snap. And again, we know what's going on with natural gas prices in Europe. Production of heating and power generating and fuel in Texas fell Sunday to the lowest levels since the February freeze. So think about this. So 11 months ago. Now they're saying that, and again, this is something Jason and I have been trying to get everybody to understand. Inventory levels of everything are at historic lows, and any little hiccup has prices flying. Look at Brent crude back above $80 a barrel this morning, and now they're saying that Texas, if it gets any colder, and they're saying it's supposed to be the coldest January 8th through the 11th, that we may have another problem in Texas. And seemingly that problem there, Jason, threw everything into chaos.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's that big of an emergency. I don't see the ice storms and everything, and I don't know if that's what they're bracing for. But if normal weather patterns is going to cause chaos in the markets, they're over exaggerating. There's a much more deeper problem that we report every day, Joe, which is, look, this stuff's already bad before the little weather blows in, and then
that's the problem, right? Yeah. Hey, we've got just we got just enough. As long as nothing, we don't have any bad blast of weather. We'll see. But to me, now that and I was just thinking about it as I was going through this. Doesn't that seem to be right about the time Jay Powell was throwing his transitory nonsense out there, and all of a sudden that one event seemed to trigger this inflation nightmare that we're seeing play out, to where every day now I tell you about more things that are going to be much higher. It's not 2%. It's not 5%. Right now you got companies like Little Caesar. Hey, our $5 pizza, it's up 11%. The dollar store, it's now $1.25, right? And the list goes on and on and on, Jason. And it seems like that little event in Texas kind of just started this whole domino effect of everything.
Absolutely, Joe. And when a real emergency actually happens, what will happen? When a hurricane hits Florida sometime in the months to come, or an earthquake in California, how about a late freeze in the spring to the crops in California or Florida? I mean, these things can make it so much worse so much quickly. And if inflation is going to continue like it absolutely looks like it's going to continue all of 2022. Can you imagine, Joe, if Florida oranges just got frozen out in a late storm or something?
Right. Exactly, right? What are we talking about, right? Okay, all of a sudden the price of oranges doubled, right? The price of coffee has already doubled, and these are wholesale prices. News out of China, the coronavirus. We've been talking about the one city where, people are talking about almost starving to death because China won't let them out. Word out today is it has spread. The largest port in the world. It's not, by the way, just so you know, it's not here. It's not L.A. Nope, it's there in China. There are reports now of coronavirus outbreak happening in the largest port in the world. It's, if I'm saying this right, Ningbo, Ningbo. That is where it's in the eastern port city of China, and then also the city of Yuzhou. That city's not as big. That one only has 1.3 million people. And see, in China, think about this. 1.3 million people here in the United States. That puts you in like the top 6 or 7 cities in the country. In China, that's considered a little place, 1.3 million people. But the big port city, the largest port in the world, could be facing a shutdown as they've reported 16 cases. And that may not sound like much, but China, that's a big deal. If they shut that port down, Jason, again, here we go again, this whole supply problem gets even worse.
Right, and we have no idea the actual truth of what's going on. But if coronavirus, once again, the biggest, easiest target to blame anything on is coronavirus. Yeah, well, I don't get the feeling, Joe, there was some other problem happening. I talked yesterday about how the one thing about China that doesn't get talked about is that their imports increased by 20%. So if they're not getting the stuff they want, they may not want to export very much stuff. They may just hold on to some of their own stuff, Joe. They're in a very strong position that way.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a far bigger deal. We'll see what happens. As of right now, at least the report that I read says that the port is still operating. If that port closes, shipping costs they're already ridiculous. This will just make things significantly worse. We sit there and think about, hey, products. We can't finish houses. We can't repair tractor trailers. We can't do this and that. This is one of those places that a lockdown would be devastating to a lot of things here in the United States. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. Gold's up almost $15, $14 right now, 18.14. Silver's up 23 cents. Back above $23 here in New York, 23.04 right now. The Dow's actually mixed. The S&P, which hit a high, is now off 10 points. The Nasdaq's down almost 300 points, but don't worry, the Dow is in positive territory. The 10-year note getting a little closer to a whopping 1.7%, and believe me, a couple of rate hikes is not going to put the genie back in the bottle. Today we've got the other white meat. We're going to sell a little platinum today. We had bought these last week out of an estate. We don't have very many of them available, but we figured today would be a good day to run them. Platinum right now up almost $20 this morning, right around $975. I've got 5 1-ounce, and these are coins, by the way. That's in the platinum market. There's 2 ways to buy platinum, in bars and in coins. The coins have they're more favored, right? Just like anything else. The minted by the government mints out there. We've got 5 1-ounce platinum coins. These are the Canadian platinum coins. They're at $1,075, so about $100 over spot, which is really a really fantastic price on platinum. We've got 3 half-ounce. And I want to say, Jason, are those U.S. half-ounce?
Yes, they are. They're U.S. platinum.
And there's only 3 of those. Those are at $550. And I would just say this. I think platinum is probably right there with silver as which metal's the most undervalued right now. So we've got 5 1-ounce platinum Canadian coins at $1,075. And we got 3 half-ounce U.S. platinum coins at $550. Those are live in Colorado, but we'll have them down here in Phoenix. For those of you that want to pick them up in Phoenix, Jason can have them down here. We'll have them either Friday or Monday at the latest. 800-951-0592. Take the time, throw them into your portfolio. Just kind of something cool, something different. Platinum's a very, very hard metal, so they tear up the machine, so they don't like to make a lot of them. So they're always very limited in quantity just because of the hardness of it. And you think about whether it be catalytic converters, if they ever get the computer chip problem ever resolved. And then, of course, solar. Platinum, palladium, rhodium. You need all three for that. I guess the green energy stuff. I think platinum, Jason, probably, again, like I said, one of the most undervalued metals that we see right now.
Yeah, they kind of switched to palladium the last bunch of years as sort of a cheap alternative to platinum. And I don't know all the science behind why they were starting to use that more in catalytic converters, but the price is just so lopsided now between palladium and platinum. At some point, they'll switch back into using platinum. The more platinum will stack up, there'll be more availability, and then suddenly that price will just start climbing real quick. So, gotta get yourself some cheap. This is cheap platinum, Joe. I mean, I never thought I'd see the day where platinum was almost half the price of gold, right?
Yeah, it's crazy to think about it. 800-951-0592. God bless everybody.